I was disappointed, obviously, but I was not surprised with her loss. And early the next morning after the election, I came to the office and sat and just thought about all some of the things that I had remembered that led me to write this piece of information that I will share with you. It's called The Presidential Election of 2024. I knew that the vulgar, immoral, homophobic, racist, anti-intellectual, faux Christian, tax cheat, pathological liar, science denier, white supremacy sympathizer, adulterer, sexual predator, and criminal felon would garner the votes of millions of white people. I believed that the number of Republican white women and men voting for a Democrat in this election would increase in numbers, not necessarily because they care about Black and brown people, but because they cared about the integrity of the institutions that define a representative democracy. We're terrified about the possibility of a dictator in the White House and were fearful about losing their freedom to make decisions about their own bodies. In the final analysis, their votes indicate they cared more about the advantages of their, quote, whiteness, end of quote. And I say that based on research done by um, Elizabeth Isabel Wilkinson, and who wrote The Origins of Our Discontents. And so I went to her book and picked out this section. The book was published in 2020. She wrote, quote, some people on the left kept asking, why, oh, why were these people voting against their own interest? What they had not considered was that the people voting this way were, in fact, voting their interest, maintaining the caste system as it had always been was in their interest. And some were willing to accept short-term discomfort, forego health insurance, risk contamination of the water and air, and even die to protect their long-term interest in the hierarchy as they had known it, end of quote. And then I thought, well, I've read that before, but in some other words. Then I reminded about James Baldwin, his nephew in 1963, 100 years after the Lincoln had passed, had announced the Emancipation Proclamation. And he was telling his nephew, um, a lot of things, but what caught my interest and what I wrote in this piece that morning was, he's, quote, people find it very difficult to act on what they know. To act is to be committed, and to be committed is to be in danger. In this case, the danger in the minds of most white Americans is the loss of their identity, end of quote. In my opinion, the Trump vote guarantees a continuation of the caste system. Vice President Kamala Harris's loss was not surprising to me because it is a continuation of the 415 years old myth of white superiority, which brings me back to your group. That's why your group gives me the comfort. I come every single Friday where you're here because I can see you pushing for the same goals in mind that I have and that people of all good faith should have.